to have you all here this morning. I just want you to reflect a little bit with me this morning on what just happened right here. This little event that you saw occur where two robed men took children, babies in this instance. Could have been adults. We've had them, adults, teenagers, middle-aged people, people in their 20s. But here, three young infants. And one of them made him cry. I don't know if you saw that, but one of these men made the baby cry. But take these babies and do something to them. They put water on them. Not a whole lot of water, not a dab, a little bit more. And then, you didn't see this, but you could have, if you've been real close, you would have smelled it. They got a little bit of olive oil that clergy carry around with them, and they made the sign of the cross on their forehead. And they said, "You are sealed by the Holy Spirit in baptism and marked as Christ's own forever." I wonder what you think about that. Christ Church is a place where lots of people come together from many different traditions, some from no tradition at all. Some have never been in a church before they come here, and they might see this and say, "What on earth," or more appropriately, "What in heaven's name is that?" Some come from Bible church traditions or Baptist church tradition, where they look at this and they say, "That's just wrong. That's just wrong. That child has no idea what he's committing himself to. That's no wonder he's crying. He doesn't know what's ahead for him." So what on earth is going on? And I have been looking for an opportunity to teach you this and to tell you this. I've been looking for a chance to take this moment and create a snapshot or a postcard in your mind that you will never forget. And I really wrestled with a message all week long, but I had nothing really until yesterday. I saw something that explains everything, and I want to share it with you. I want to wind the clock back exactly 24 hours. My 4-year-old granddaughter was having a princess party at our home. Fran and I had decorated with pink and red ribbons and balloons the night before, and Fran moved all the furniture away, and it was all set, and I had inadvertently scheduled a church meeting over there. Not bad, huh? The princess party's taking place over there with 7 4-year-old girls, and I'm stuck in a church meeting over here. The church meeting ended, and I thought to myself, I don't want to go over there. I mean, it's just too much for me to grasp. I need quiet. I need to concentrate on the message. But I said, I'm G-Daddy. I'm the grandfather. I need to get over there. So I went over there. I drove in the garage, walked in the back pantry door, and I was expecting to hear screaming children everywhere. I was expecting to have the house absolutely covered in messes and sounds and cake and everything. But what I saw was so different. I saw these 7 little girls dressed as 7 Disney princesses sitting quietly in chairs listening to Vicki Warren dressed up as Snow White. Now, my wife has said of Vicki, they're very good friends. My wife has said of Vicki for years, she's a dead ringer for Snow White. I couldn't see it until she had the costume on. Vicki, stand up. Give it up for Snow White. Give it up for Snow White. She embodied this Disney character, and it transfixed all these girls. Now, after the party was over, Fran and Vicki and another woman had a lunch date, and Fran was getting in the car with Vicki to get ready to go, and so Vicki could change into street clothes and go up to the Cheesecake Factory. And I said, "Vicki, I dare you to go up there as Snow White." And she said no, and Fran said, "Yeah, let's do it." And Vicki was game, so they went. Yesterday at the mall, at Stonebriar Mall, Cheesecake Factory, my wife and Lois here had lunch with Snow White. And I talked to my wife about it because what I saw happen in the little girls at our home also happened up at Cheesecake Factory, and all, as they walked into the mall, people were amazed. They said, this is Snow White. There's a little girl that has to have her picture taken with you. That never happens. Snow White, look, it's Snow White. What were they doing? They were seeing a person, but they were seeing beyond a person into a different story, into a different world, into a whole different narrative. And that's what baptism is. These people, these little girls that sat in our home, and the people that noticed Snow White up at the mall yesterday, they looked beyond this world into a new world where there's pride and envy and a poison apple and the sickness of sleep and a prince and a kiss and a new life ahead. All that whole narrative, that different story than what is our flesh and blood story, plays out. And that's what baptism is. It is becoming like, silly to say, Snow White. It's like taking on a mantle. It's like taking on a set of clothing, a character, a set of values, a person of Jesus Christ. That's what it means to be baptized. It is taking on the person of Jesus Christ, so that when people look at you, they look through you into a different story. And so when you look at the circumstances of life, if they're going up or down, you're able to see not them, but through them into a different story. The story of redemption and salvation through Jesus Christ. That's what it means. We get caught up, the church has been doing this for 2,000 years, we get caught up in the whole rituals and forms, whether it's dipping or dunking or dabbing or drenching or whatever. And we get caught up in the age. Well, you got to be age of accountability, and that's 12 or 16 or 10 or whatever. But we totally miss the point of baptism one totally misses the point of baptism when you do that. It means that there is another way when you're baptized. If you live into that baptism, there is another way of looking at your life. There's another story that you represent, not your story, but a story behind you of which you are part. Look. Let me give you an example. Recession is on everybody's mind. Last month, 600,000 jobs were lost across the country. Every one of us here knows somebody who's out of work. Maybe you, many of you. Maybe you're on a list that you don't even know about. A list of people who, if things don't turn around, has got to go. It can lead you to being angry. If you get laid off, you can feel miffed and pushed about and caught in a bind. You can feel despair and hopelessness, fatigue, fear. I'm so sick of the ups and downs. You could feel that way. Or you could claim your inner Snow White, your inner baptism, and say, no, I'm actually part of another story. My people, the ones I'm connected to now by water baptism, my people knew God over the centuries, not as faithless, but as faithful. And they lasted, they trusted, they came to know God better through every trial. So when James says, consider it all joy, brothers, when trials come your way, he's not just issuing platitudes. He's reciting the history of God's people who found every time there was a trial in their life, they grew closer to God. That's our story.